Big Sills. You got it, Twits. That's right. Big Sills. Appreciate you all coming aboard. Man, hey, I got to tell you, man, the pictures that my family are sending me from back east um, with the wildfires that are going on. Tone and I were just talking, man. It's like Armageddon. And I see that out in the West Coast all the time. You know, they get these fires, and then what happens, though, at least back east, you know, you don't have the mountains like where I'm from. What happens is then you get the rains, the flash flooding, then you get the mudslides. So I was looking at pictures of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge and like the George and the Brooklyn Bridge. Dude, it seriously, it looks like something out of Armageddon. Unbelievable stuff, man. So air quality not very good, especially with the population that we have in the New England area and in the East Coast, man. Can't be good air quality. So hopefully you're taking care of yourselves and having some fun here. Stay indoors. You can just listen to Big Sills here. So ton of stuff to get to. I want to start the program out by doing this. You know, we usually don't get Niner into a little, what is it, hour two usually? Looks like Blade Runner. Hungry, exact. It does look like Blade Runner. By the way, dude, you mentioned one of my favorite movies of all time. God, I love Blade Runner. Man, I love that movie. I do, but I love any Ridley Scott movie. He's one of my favorite directors. I'm one of those sci-fi guys. So I'm sci-fi. I love all those Mars movies. People hated the movie The Martian. I actually like that kind of. I don't know. I'm a big sci-fi guy. Yeah, hey, the 1980s movie JM. What's that movie with Snake Plissken? What is it? Escape from an L.A. Hey, right. Ridley Scott is a weirdo, but I love it, dude. The guy he made Gladiator too, man. One of my favorite directors of all time. I like a guy that are people that are a little eccentric. I like that stuff, man. Yeah, but not in reality, right? You're like, hey, yeah, it's Sills. I like it in the movies, but not going across the bridge. Hey, it's bad enough I got to pay $5 to go across the bridge. I at least want to be able to breathe going. Escape from L.A. and New York. JM, those are good movies, man. I do. I like Snake Plissken. Dude, maybe that should have been my radio name, Snake Plissken. Man, I like that, man. I love that name, Snake Plissken. Hey, you have to play. Hey, and then he has to play a game of basketball like he's Larry Bird to save his life. I'm like, holy shit, man. This guy's playing like Bird. All good. All right. May I interest you in something? Eagle fans, may I interest you in something? Trading deadline comes. Would you give the 49ers the 4th round pick or a 3rd round pick for Trey Lance to back up Jalen Hurts? He fits the system more than Mariota does. Hey, can I tell you why I would do that? Because he's got a higher value than Mariota. And some would be knocking on your door in the offseason for him. Wait a minute. Wait, before you say no, hang on. He's got more value. You get into the offseason, Eagles win the Super Bowl, you might get a 2nd round pick for him. I'm looking to give you as much equity and ability to keep the team around Jalen Hurts as possible. Remember what I told you. Every single move. This is not about Trey Lance. This is about keeping talented people around Jalen Hurts. Again, you're looking micro instead of macro here. Okay? You're not looking at it. You're looking at it in the now. That's right, Greasy. It's called horse trading. I think Howie's the greatest at it. Hey, you want to increase your value? If I'm Trey Lance, So you think going to Miami and backing up Tua is going to be something that is going to help him? Maybe. Maybe. Because he will probably get a shot. He'll probably get a shot down there if Tua gets injured, which he most likely will. But if he goes to a loser organization, your value is going to decrease and keep continuing to decrease. What's the one thing we've learned about Howie Roseman and what he does for people that come to the Eagles? He increases their value. If I am a free agent or I am a wounded free agent, I'm coming to Philly. And guess what? I will do something that people used to do years ago in New England and take the Tom Brady / Jalen Hurts discount. Don't you see it? It's one of the best landing spots for people that want to increase their market value. Every single player that Howie Roseman picked up last year increased their market value. And you won games, and you got to the NFC Championship game and won it, and you got to the Super Bowl, and you got about 10 minutes away from winning it. Don't you see that? Going to the Cardinals doesn't help Trey Lance. Going to the Bears doesn't help Trey Lance. Going to the Eagles does. This is why everyone's like, hey, this is going to come down to money for DeAndre Hopkins. Probably. You got to figure out what he wants. Do you want to put a bow on your career and put a Super Bowl on it and go to Philly and be the number 3 guy? Or do you want to chase the bag of money like Adamic and Sue? See, the difference there is Sue's got a ring. He's got a ring. Danny, I could see why Lance would want to come here, but no, we don't need him. I didn't say you needed him, Barbara. The Eagles could use him. No, Barbara, you don't need. Hey, Barbara, you know what's really crazy? There used to be a line that the San Antonio Spurs had. You know what that was? You know, we look at everyone, but not everyone can play here. That's kind of what's in Philly. Just saying, hey, they play the same way. They have the same skill set. This guy is a high draft choice. And it could be something that the Eagles could use in the offseason to get another high draft choice. If you win the Super Bowl and he backs up Jalen Hurts, you're going to get a 2 for him. And you gave the Niners a 4 for him. I'm looking like horse trading, like Greasy said. I don't give a shit really about Trey Lance. I care about getting draft choices to keep the team around Jalen Hurts and to keep as many great players and to pursue as many great players as I can. Don't look at it like that. Look at it like what you can get for a player. Look at all the compensation picks you're going to get in the 2024 draft because of all the free agent moves you made. Because of the value that they brought to the team once they went out in the free agent market. That's a coup. That's a coup. All right. I want to throw this out now before we get to the topics. And our topics are about Sean Desai and something on the schedule. Dalvin Cook to the Dallas Cowboys is a real thing. And I want to see how many people believe that Dalvin Cook, in your eyes, is still an elite running back. I'm not going to say it yet. I want to see what folks say. Would he help the Dallas Cowboys win a Super Bowl? How many people believe that Dalvin Cook, okay, has anything left in the tank? And by the way, I have the numbers. It's being reported that the Vikings will cut him tomorrow and will make him a free agent. Philly 559 says no. Cody says no. Who's better, Cook or Saquon? Dalvin Cook. His tread is barely up to, okay, Dalvin Cook is already 28. He's 27, actually. Okay, well, let's take a look at that. Here's Dalvin Cook by the numbers in the last 6 years. He's played 73 ball games. Pretty good number. Last year, he had 1282. Do you want to hear? No, excuse me. Do you want to hear something about a guy who's been in the league 6 years? He's averaged 200 carries a year. That's not a lot. He's averaged 200 carries, actually to the point 213. He's averaged 213 carries in 6 years of play. I don't believe that's a lot. 1282 in carries. He's under 1,500 carries. We're not talking about Derrick Henry here. I'm not talking about Derrick Henry. That's not a lot. 4 straight years of 1,000 yards, 6,000 rushing yards in his career. He's averaging 1,000 yards a year ever since he's been an NFL player. He's 27 years old. 47 touchdowns in that 6 years. 4.7 yards a carry in his entire 6-year NFL career. Now, here's where some of you say you're starting to see a decline. In 2020, he averaged 5 yards a carry. 21, 4.7. And in 22, 4.4. That could be numerous things. Remember, there was a coaching change in there too, so there could be a philosophy change. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's losing it. There was a head coaching change. He went from a defensive-minded coach to an offensive-minded coach. Remember something. 20 and 21, he was under Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer wants to run the ball, not throw the ball. And in 2022, the new head football coach wants to throw the ball, not run the ball. So when people go, well, that's a philosophy change. It's a directional change because the mentality was changed in the offensive huddle. You got an offensive-minded coach in the building now. So to sit there and say, well, his yards per carry went down, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the player. That could mean just by the way you're using the player too. Okay? I don't know. I like the comparison. Saquon Barkley and Dalvin Cook. I see it. I see they're kind of the same. Well, whatever you think of Dalvin Cook, you think of Saquon Barkley, I probably would think the same thing of both guys. I think Dalvin Cook's a special back. I think Saquon Barkley's a special back. Here's something else. 221 receptions. Could help the Cowboys a lot. 1,791 in receiving yards in 6 years. That's not bad. I mean, highest year he had 53 in 2019. Again, you know why? That's Mike Zimmer wanting to get the ball to a running back. And last year he had 39. That's more getting the ball down the field because of the coach, in my opinion. I still think Dalvin Cook is elite. I still think he's an elite back and is going to help somebody. It could be the Broncos. It could be the Bills, the Dolphins. And I believe it's going to be the Cowboys. You put Dalvin Cook in the backfield, the Eagles are going to have a problem. And here's why the Cowboys are smart to sign him. The Cowboys are smart to give him and overpay this guy. Why? What's the one thing that you're going to have a problem with in Philadelphia that you've had for 2 years? Stopping the run. Even with the second best defense in the NFL last year, you couldn't stop the run. This is a kryptonite to the Eagle defense. It's not throwing the ball against them. You had great sacks last year and your corners. But no matter what you guys post, no matter what you guys say, you have been mediocre in stopping the run. And that will be challenged again in the first quarter poll of the season. You could sit here and say all your shit and all your so-called fantasy comments. You couldn't stop the run the last 2 years. You couldn't. You were below average. Okay? You couldn't stop it. So you go out and you get a back like this with a better O-line, more skilled. Well, I can't say that because the wide receiving core in Minnesota has been pretty formidable. Now, Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins, how many times have we said, aren't they the same kind of dude? He's probably going to the Dolphins. Why would he go to the Dolphins when his best way of getting to a Super Bowl is through the NFC? You guys are missing this. Now, the one factor about him potentially going to the AFC would be there's better quarterbacks there. So what if he goes to Buffalo, like you say, with Josh Allen? Holy cow. Josh Allen would win the Super Bowl. He could. How about if he goes, well, they got NTN. How about NTN and Dalvin Cook? Dalvin Cook played at Florida State. What if he goes to Jacksonville? Dalvin Cook and NTN and that offense back there with all the things that they got now with Ridley and the way Lawrence is playing, Jacksonville would be in the AFC Championship game. How about if the Lions sign him? He's going to get an opportunity to go where he wants. What if Kansas City signs him? Now, who do you think is more of a factor in helping a team win a Super Bowl? DeAndre Hopkins or Dalvin Cook? You know what's funny? Think about this question before you answer it. Okay? Think about this question before you answer it. People diminish the running back position. The Eagles are a running team. Their formula is through the run game. That's who they are, no matter how many great Y's and Z's you have. Your football team is built through the run game. Who's going to help you win a Super Bowl? I know, Callie, I know who Dalvin Cook is. I know everyone from the state of Florida. We all help recruit him. I know who he is. I know what he is. Hey, how about this one? Don't be shocked. Because he is from Miami, that Lamar Jackson recruits him to Jacksonville. You put Dalvin Cook with Odell Beckham Jr., the kid they drafted, and Dalvin Cook. The Baltimore Ravens, and plus their tight end, the Baltimore Ravens are a player. More so than they already are. You put Dalvin Cook in Baltimore, with that guy running the ball and the other guy running the ball, they'll win 14 games up there. Now, again, let me backpedal on that because their defense is not what that defense was when they won all them games a couple years ago. So I don't believe that defense is that good and good enough to win that many games, but they can win 12 games. They can win some ball games there. So I don't think they have a good enough defense, and especially at the cornerback position. And I don't really know their edge rushers are all that hot. Dalvin Cook, this is a big deal here. These are great numbers. And by the way, I don't think he has a lot of tread on him. You think a guy with 1,282 carries over 6 years is a lot? I don't think 200 carries a year is a lot. We're not talking about Derrick Henry carries. It is so early in the offseason. And as cheap as the Eagles' running back room is, could the Eagles be a real player for Cook? Dude, let me say this to you, man. If the Philadelphia Eagles signed Dalvin Cook, it would be like what they missed out on by getting Bijan Robinson. This guy is an elite back. You don't have anything elite back there. You have nothing elite. You have people who said these guys – can I tell you the only thing you really have? Well, see, DeAndre Swift and Dalvin Cook would be a force. That would be a force if you had those guys. What you have, again, is promise in the backfield. You don't have an actual star player. And probably would cost you $5 million. Would you pay $5 million to put Dalvin Cook in your backfield? Sway goes, Cap. You got $13 million right now, cap space. You got the money, guy. What are you talking about? Okay? Shooter goes, I miss the old Sills. Not kissing the Eagle. When do I kiss the Eagles' ass? And by the way, what do you want me to say? They suck. They just came off a Super Bowl. See, that's the guy that wants me to still say they suck. They don't suck. They're doing everything right. When they start going south, don't worry, Hoss. I'm the first to hit on it. And especially if they make a stupid move. Swift is elite. Really? That's why they traded him and drafted a running back. And he's only 26. Sure. Yeah, okay, Sway. Why, he's elite now because he's an Eagle? That's a lie. You don't trade elite players like that unless you're a dumbass like Peterson was when he traded A.J. Brown away. That's dumb. Over $6 million? Hey, cost him his job. See, that's usually what happens when you do dumb moves. Cost you your job. And that was a dumb move. And the general manager of the Titans is out because they got rid of A.J. Brown. Dumb. 25-year-old wideout who's productive like that and underutilized. That's why you got fired, guy. Okay, watch. Sure. Watch this, though. Sway goes, okay, watch. Here's what I say about Dalvin Cook. He is elite. Watch. Oh, no. Get his game film out. See, here's Sway. This is DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny. This is their resume. Here's Dalvin Cook's. And by the way, Dalvin Cook is younger than Penny. Who's had a better career? He hasn't run the ball that much. You put Dalvin Cook in the Philadelphia Eagle offense, they will not lose a game. You won't lose a game. That would be, hey, $5 million. Sills, would you at least kick the I'll tell you what, I have a better feel about kicking the tires on Dalvin Cook than DeAndre Hopkins. You put Dalvin Cook, because I don't believe Dalvin Cook is a 270 carry back, nor would I want him to be. But you put him back there with DeAndre Hopkins, you're talking about an elite here's where we go here with, again, tandems. How many players on the Eagle team do they have the best player at that position? Best right offensive tackle, best center. That's it. But you start doing duos. Dude, it's got to be the best corner duo. Wide receiver duo with tight end. Best offensive line, especially the best offensive tackles. Look at all the duos that they have. Dude, the Eagles have a load of duos on that team that no team in the league has. Nobody in the NFL has as many great duos as the Philadelphia Eagles do. They're everywhere. They're pass-catching duo. Is there a better pass-catching tight end and wide receiver combination in the league? I'm trying to think. Kansas City, no. Cincinnati, no. I don't know who the tight end is. Buffalo, no. Baltimore, no. Miami, kind of. Is there any place else? '49ers, Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo. I think AJ's better than Debo, and I think Devontae's better than Ayuk. Kittle, might be a notch above Goddard, but it still goes to the Eagles. Still goes to the Eagles. There's not a better pass catching combination of tight end wide receivers in the NFL next to the Philadelphia Eagles. There's nobody. You put Dalvin Cook back there at $5 million a year. I think you could pay him that, and he would take that. Again, Dalvin Cook is in a position right now where he's got to think about longevity, rings, and money. Here, this is a really great exercise here. What gives Dalvin Cook these three to consummate a deal? Help him in longevity, O-line, philosophy of investing in the O-line. You see, when you're a running back, you want an organization to constantly be investing in the O-line. The Eagles have done that for 25 years. The Eagles invest in two places, D-line, O-line. That's been a staple of what they are and who they go after an eyeball every year. Every year, it's D-line, O-line, D-line, O-line, D-line, O-line. 1 through 3 picks. I'm talking rounds. That's been something and a staple for 25 years. If you're a running back, you want to see that. So it gives them the ability to have longevity. How about winning? Well, the Eagles in the last 7 years have gone to 6 years have gone to 2 NFC title games, won a Super Bowl, a quarter away from winning the Super Bowl. Has there been another team in the NFC over the last 6 years that has had more success when it comes to winning than them? And I mean critical winning. Division titles, conference championship games. Let me see. That'd be no. So, what does Miami give you? An instability at quarterback. Okay. A pretty decent O-line. Good wideouts and a pretty fair defense. Tougher road to the Super Bowls through the AFC, though. Got to think of all those things. And now, here's something to think about. When you say Miami, hey, Florida, tax-free state. Philadelphia, not. Okay, you got to pay your taxes, but in Florida, you get to keep more of your money. That's a factor. That's why very few people want to play in California. And you don't see a lot of free agents going to California. Because why? They take half your money. Most free agents don't go. And that'd be something that C.J. Gardner-Johnson's got to be pissed off about too. Because you got to pay a ton of taxes because of the unions up in Detroit. Trust me when I tell you. Gets to go home, Miami. Do you want to go to a place where you're not stable at quarterback? Miami Dolphins are not stable at quarterback. Shit, the Miami Dolphins haven't been stable at quarterback since Dan Marino. You want to go to that environment? What if Tua gets knocked out? Where are you going then? Can't get Lamar. He signed. You're going to go into the draft? And so Dalvin Cook is going to play in Miami with a rookie quarterback next year if Tua has to retire. I'm not interested in that. I could go to some place like Philadelphia and I could win ball games with those guys for the next 5 years of my career, maybe get myself a gold jacket playing in Philadelphia. See, you got to put it's not just about, hey, no, I won't lie. Some guys, it is just about chasing a bag of money. Sometimes it is. We have, see, Barb goes like this. We have a solid rotation. Who the hell wants to be solid? Who wants to be solid? Hey, so you're telling me you could get Dalvin Cook for $5 million instead of paying Miles Sanders $7 million? Holy shit. You mean to tell me I would have gotten a better player by far than Miles Sanders, who's not on a one-year wonder deal in Carolina? You got to wonder if that was a one-year deal where he put up all them yards. You imagine Dalvin Cook behind that old line, he'd be the NFL's leading rusher. I think they should explore it. If I were the Eagles, I would explore him. Because what else? What's the number one thing, Tone, we say all the time? How do you get less carries for Jalen? You sign Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's going to take those. And here, instead of having 167 carries, he has 125 carries, same yards, but 10 yards a carry. That's what you're looking at doing. You're not looking at 167. He was on, you understand that Jalen Hurts was on pace for more rushing attempts this year than he was the year previous. He was on pace for more rushing attempts. He ended up the season 167. Jalen Hurts would have had 200 carries if he didn't get hurt. May have been in the best interest that he did get hurt because it stopped him from having to take more punishment in the run game. He was on pace for 200 carries. Almost as many carries as Sanders. Is that what you're looking for? I thought we were trying to get away from that. Hurts was about to put up starting running back numbers before he got hurt, Sills. That's right. You know what it would have been? It would have been like 900 yards, 215 carries, 13 touchdowns. I don't want that. Here's what I want. I want to have 138 carries, 700 yards at 10 yards a carry, 7-8 touchdowns. And get this, because they're so in fear of the fact of what you got behind them. This is why I was so Bijan Robinson heavy. I'm looking, you know what's funny? Some of you get it in here. This is what I was talking about with Trey Lance. This wasn't about Trey Lance. This was about extending the career of Jalen Hurts and maybe using him as horse trading to get more picks in the offseason and having a quality backup that plays kind of a similar role in his arsenal and his game that the starting quarterback does. How many people came on this show like Tony Dungy and Bruce Arians and say, you got to have a backup quarterback that mimics the starter if you're going to go dual threat. Mariota kind of does that. Trey Lance is that. But hey, because you hate the 49ers and some of you are so dumb you can't see through it, but okay. And again, you think I'm doing Dalvin Cook conversation just for shits and giggles? It completely makes sense. So let me ask you this. So the Philadelphia Eagles, they don't put a premium on running backs. Well, then you're going to get your quarterback killed. If you don't get a back this year or a combination of backs that have 250 carries, he won't play 17 games this year. And can I tell you this year? Because I do think the Cowboys are going to be a player, and I do think the 49ers and potentially Seattle. If you lose, and you're playing a tough schedule, you may get some injuries. You are not going to go through this year like you have the last 2 years injury-free. Get over that. That's not happening. That is just luck. That ain't happening. Okay? If he misses a couple of those games with the schedule that you play, and by the way, I picked out a couple games this year in the schedule. I think there's 9 of them that I think you're going to have a tough time with. You may lose home field advantage and have to go to San Francisco to play in the NFC title game or go to Dallas. Shonsky goes, how many full seasons has Cook played in? I'll wait. How many full seasons has Jalen Hurts played in? I'll wait. You make it sound like your quarterback has been healthy the last 2 years. He hasn't. He's missed ball games. I'll wait. Apply that also to your QB. Here. And get this. So now you're talking about health here with Dalvin Cook. Let's see here. Dalvin Cook stats. Last 4 years in a row, 1,000 yards. Okay? Let's see. The first year, he played in only 4 games and 4 starts in 17. In 18, he missed 5 games. In 19, he missed 2. In 20, he missed 2. In 21, he missed 3. Last year, he missed none as he got older. He missed none. 73 games, 72 starts, unlike that idiot you got in the backfield and Rashad Penny, who's got 2 starts a year. And you guys keep telling me 6 yards a carry. Whatever. Let's look at the production, even with missing time. 1173, 1,200 yards, 1557, 1135 in the last 4 years. 5 yards a carry, 4.7 a carry, 4.5 a carry. Shut up. Stupid. Stupid. He's productive. I'll take my chances with Cook over Penny. You kidding me? Penny? Dalvin Cook? You got to be kidding me. Rashad Penny won't get through the first 4 games. Okay? I love how all of a sudden Rashad Penny turns into Shady McCoy because he's wearing Birds green. Stupidity at its highest. Kenneth Gainwell is an average player. DeAndre Swift is a unicorn player, and I like him. I like him a lot. Okay? I like him next to Dalvin Cook. I don't care what anybody says. I think that guy's a special ball player. And I'll make this point to you. If he goes to Dallas, they will be in the NFC title game. Okay? He's a better running back than Ezekiel Elliott ever was. He's a better back than Zeke ever was. Zeke Elliott was not a better running back than Dalvin Cook. He wasn't ever. In his entire career, was he ever better than Dalvin Cook? Look at the numbers. Look at the consistency. And they're the same age. All of a sudden, Penny's all world. I know, man. All of a sudden, in the eagle eyes, Penny's all world. And the guy was a colossal disaster and failure in Seattle. Now, because he's wearing Birds green, he's Brian Westbrook. Gotta give it. You gotta stop, dog. Big Sales, how can you say that Cook is way better than Penny? But the Eagles don't see that because the Eagles went cheap and signed Penny for nothing. And he wasn't available at the time. That's why. Timing, my friend. Okay? Timing. That's dumb. This guy's got 6,000 rushing yards on less than 1,500 carries. Are you... I'm going to move on to the topics because 80% of you are idiots here today. Are you under the notion that you have a better running backs or whatever than what Dalvin Cook could do for you? I'm not going to debate it any longer because that's a dumb conversation. And trust me, somebody on WIP or somebody on the Fanatic will definitely kiss your ass on that. Not here. We're moving on. You are stupid. Okay? To think that. You don't have a running back in that. How about this? The only running back that you've ever had that was better than this guy, I would say this to you. Let me double check that before I say this. He's not better than Brian Westbrook. Shady McCoy stats. No. He got a long way to go before it. No, he's not. 11,000 rushing yards for Shady. I didn't realize he had that high number. Wow. It's a conversation for Hall of Fame stuff. Penny hasn't taken a damn snap, and fans are already falling on the sword for him. I know, isn't it crazy to see that, man? I mean, it's just stupid, man. It's just stupid conversation. You've had two running backs in 25 years that are better than this guy. McCoy and Westbrook. The rest of them, okay? These are the two best wide receivers that you've had at one time on a football team in the history of the team. In the history of the team, these are the two best wideouts at one time. Don't start talking like you guys have been doing this forever, because now you sound like Patriot fan. Hey, we're one of the greatest organizations. No, you're not. You've had a great 20 years. Now you're back to who you are. You notice that, right? The Patriots are back to being the Patriots again. This is who the Patriots have been their entire existence. They had a 20-year window where they were good because of Brady. But now they're back to being the Patriots. They're the Patriots. Couple years good, couple years bad. Sneak into the playoffs. Have an unbelievable year with Tony Eason or with Bledsoe. Get some luck, go back to being normal again. Strike gold and hit Brady. Your chances of striking gold again and hitting Brady are nil. Okay? Everyone knows Penny can't stay healthy, and now he's better than Cook. JH, I know, right? Oh, man. Hey, unbelievable, man. It's mind-numbing. And figure this out. You're telling me you don't think Dalvin Cook could help preserve Jalen Hurts? If anything, you do it to preserve him. Hey, think about this. Telling everyone, think about this. If you just line Dalvin Cook up like this and you're a defensive coordinator, I've got to take care of Devontae, AJ, Goddard, maybe Swift, and I got to take care of Cook sitting there. I put Rashad Penny or Kenneth Gainwell back there. They're the last guy on my concern list. Dalvin Cook is someone because why? Your O-line. You got a dominant O-line. I got to worry about stopping the run first. With that guy back there, my number one concern, if I'm a D coordinator with an elite back like that, and with the skill set that Jalen has in open field, I got to stop the run. The passing game, those wideouts would be wide open. Dallas Goedert will have 1,500 yards if you sign Dalvin Cook. Because D coordinators don't you get it? There's not enough talent in the NFC to cover all your pieces now. Adding another piece? What team has the ability to cover the guys now? What team? You understand? You're trying to get as many mismatches in games with low percentage turnover plays. Dalvin Cook creates an even bigger nightmare. $5 million. Even Spagnuolo in Kansas City couldn't defend that. He would never be able to defend that. He doesn't have enough pieces to do it. Your running back, your tight end, or Swift. Can you imagine Swift in the screen game with Cook and Goddard and Jalen? He might have 70 catches. How do you see that? And get this, you're right. You're not asking him to carry the ball 200 times anymore. You're asking him to do 800 yards, 900 yards, 180 carries, and he has 5 yards of carry again. And you're paying him $5 million, $2 million less than Miles Sanders got in Carolina. This is what I talk about horse trading. This is kind of why I started out with Trey Lance, to see where you guys are, but you don't see that. You think because you have a 90-man roster now that everybody on that roster in Philadelphia are the best players at their position? They're not. You have the best roster in the NFL again. It's going to be a conversation we're going to have here in a second about your defense, my concerns with Desai, but you're missing it. And some will turn around and go, Sills, but look at what Kansas City did with Pacheco, a 7th-round pick. You don't have Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts is not going to sit back and win an NFL football game, not running the ball at all in any way, shape, or form, and throwing for 450 yards. He's not. And again, to Tone's point, and what some of you said too, Mahomes is not going to do what Jalen Hurts does by running the ball 17 times for 90 yards and throwing for 350 yards. He's not doing that either. Absolutely. I'm going to start doing that from now on because it's unfair to Jalen because every time I bring up Mahomes, it's unfair because that's a different skill set. Actually, if you think about it, whatever, Batman, only in Philly. Jalen Hurts is a top 3 passer, only in Philly. Jalen has almost the same kind of skill on his approach of the game that Mahomes has on his approach of the game. It's just different. It's just different. That's all it is. It's just different. And what you guys don't like is that when you say he's not Mahomes, who gives a shit? Who cares? I get so panty bent over that. Okay? Batman goes, you love Kirk Cousins, right? I know. I don't know if I love Kirk Cousins. I know Justin Jefferson does. He's going to make $30 million a year because of Kirk Cousins. I would think. How about this, Batman? Kirk Cousins probably is one of the most important reasons why Justin Jefferson's going to make $30 million a year. The guy you passed on will be the highest paid wideout and non-position player probably in the next 4 months. Congratulations to you. You passed on a guy who's going to be the highest position player in the league. And you know who made him that way? Kirk Cousins. So whether I love him or not, I know one player who does. Justin Jefferson loves him. Marshall, that's right. Just different styles. That's all it is. Just different styles. You could say all the shit you want about Cousins. Justin Jefferson loves him. Has to. Most yards by a wide receiver. Him and Randy Moss. His first couple of years in the league. I think he has the record for the most yards in NFL history for the years he's been in the league. Kirk Cousins is throwing the ball. Okay? Charlie Gardner is not in Dalvin Cook's league. Not in his league. All right. Let's move on to the topics because a guy like Dalvin Cook and half the room and half the people watching don't want Dalvin Cook. For $5 million. I've become a better man because you know why? My daughter and my wife give me a ton of shit. And I'm learning to be more patient, Tone. You know, I'm trying. I'm not a very patient man. But and by the way, we're not talking about an $11 million running back here. We're not talking about spending $12, $13 million. It's very affordable. You got $13 million right now in cap space. No, not me. I don't want any of it. I know. He sucks. He's got nothing on the treads. You're trying hey, man, I'm trying. He's got nothing on the treads. I go, this guy doesn't have 1,500 carries in 6 years. What are you talking about? He only carries the ball 200 times a year. It's not like he carries the ball 360 times a year like Derrick Henry does. I thought he carried the ball more, actually. I thought he carried the ball more. I really did. I thought he was a 250 a year guy. He's not. Just oh man. All right, let me get into this now. Some of you might want to take the rest of the day off. I'll take Kenneth Gainwell. I'm sorry, Sills. I just can't believe this crowd is so all in on Penny like this. Dude, Rashad Penny. Here's a certainty. Death, taxes, and Penny getting hurt. Hey, here's a certainty. Death, taxes, and Penny getting hurt. I would bet everything on it. He ain't playing more than 10 games. 10 would be tops if that guy plays more than 10 games. 10 games. Death, taxes, and Penny getting hurt. Before the Eagles signed Penny, not one person wanted him on his team. I'll tell you something else, too. Here's something else to think about with what Tone's saying. Look at the guys that are out there in the open market right now. Kareem Hunt, Ezekiel Elliott, soon to be Dalvin Cook. Who do you think is going to get swallowed up first? The guy who's still productive. Revisionist history, like you always say. That's right. The Eagle fans like to change the narrative. Everyone hates Wentz now. You're liars. But wait, you then have the balls to tell me that I'm flip-flopping. And all of you have flip-flopped. Every single person in here that watches this has flip-flopped. Myself, Tone, Xander, every show that's on our network, every radio show that's in Philadelphia, flip-flopped on Wentz. But not you, because you're trying to rewrite history. It's okay because it's human nature. You don't want to admit your failure, and you don't want to admit you were wrong. Are we going to do this with every guy? I'm not. Rashad Penny is one thing. Again, he is a candidate for the IR list. He's been on the IR more than he's played in NFL games. Everybody flip-flopped. Did you not flip-flop on Wentz? Did you not flip-flop on Wentz? Did you not flip-flop? Right? Did you not? You're lying if you say you didn't. Penny has to make the roster. That's right. I don't even. Dude, personally, how can you count on a guy who Seattle couldn't count on ever? You can't count. But now in Philly, he's in the garden of instant health. It's remarkably funny to listen to. Every person in here now has kind of like ripped pages out of their narrative and how they looked at Carson Wentz. Because you know why? You don't want that same shit to come on Jalen Hurts. Jalen has the same path right now as Carson Wentz. He's on the same path. I'm not saying he's going to go down like Carson. I'm saying first 3 years in the league, you thought the same thing of Carson Wentz. All of you. Every one of you. And then when he helped lead the team to the Super Bowl and win it, you thought even more of him. He finished second that year in very close MVP voting. Just like this. What's the difference? They actually won. What's the difference this time? You like the guy more? Because you found out about the other guy. That's revised history. Because now you know that the iceberg hit the Titanic. So now you jumped off the ship. And back then you didn't jump off the ship, though. You hung with him. Carson's attitude. I'm not talking about you had no question about Carson's attitude his first 3 years. No, you did not. Stop lying. You revised your history and you flip-flopped. Sills is here. He's there. He's here. No, I don't do. That's not flip-flopping. A player's performance dictates my take on them, not my take. I don't sit here like some old sports talk guy and have to hammer my point home. If a guy blows out loud and continues, I'll kill him. But if a guy gets better, I'm not going to sit here and lie and go, well, he sucks anyway. Skip Bayless does that to LeBron James. Who in their right mind would not go LeBron James or Michael Jordan are the two greatest players. I happen to disagree with that. I think Kareem's in there, but hey, that's the argument. Who in their right mind would not have that conversation and see both sides of it now? I do. And plus, just because I add the politics of LeBron in, at the end of the day, he's been an ambassador to the sport like no other. He's never been in trouble. He respects the shield. Unlike John Morant, this guy respects the shield. Tone goes, I will openly admit it. Those first few years, I was dying on the hill with Wentz. I flipped on him like a flapjack. But Tone, that's not a bad take. People change. Careers change. Like, look at Steven Strasburg. You look at Steven Strasburg and you go, man, what a talent. MVP of a World Series. This guy was a dominant arm. Looks like he's got more arm issues. May never pitch again because of nerve damage. You know what you say about Strasburg? What a shame. What a shame. Could have been a 200. By the way, no one will ever win 300 games in baseball ever again. Ever. No one's winning 300 games. So 200 is kind of the mark now. And Strasburg could have won 200 ball games. But it's funny, isn't it? Nobody talks baseball anymore unless it's local shit. But nobody talks baseball. What a shame. It's a great sport. I love it. Grew up on it. But Strasburg, you'll look at him and go, what could have been? What could have been? Seals, April 20, whatever. Yeah, so end of the day, full transparency, my dad loved Wentz. When Foles won that Super Bowl, he immediately wanted Wentz out the door. I would argue with him down why Wentz was the guy. Boy, was I wrong. Well, here's why that scenario played itself out wrong all around. The Eagles were wrong, Foles was wrong, and Wentz was wrong. Here's what should have happened. They should have traded, and follow me here, Tone. There was another situation that was almost remarkably close to this. That was in San Diego when they had Breeze and Rivers. And Breeze had already gone to a Pro Bowl. And Schottenheimer loved Breeze. But A.J. Smith had drafted Phillip Rivers. And in that organization, the general manager had more say than the head coach. Marty went 14-2. And they fired him because Marty wanted to run the ship more and wanted more say in personnel. The Spanos family didn't want to have that. I don't know any man that's ever been fired for winning 14 ball games. The only other guy I could compare that to is when Jimmy won the Super Bowl and Jerry fired him after he won the Super Bowl in Orlando. And he wanted to keep Breeze and he wanted to move Phillip Rivers. Rivers was a fine quarterback. I think he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. But if Breeze stays in San Diego and wins the Super Bowl, the Chargers are probably still in San Diego. Breeze was the better quarterback than Rivers. And he was right. But the organization chose wrong. The Eagles chose wrong here. You see, just because you drafted Wentz as high as you did was a determining factor on why they kept Wentz over Foles. And Foles' fault is this. Look at the places that he's played in with all the shitty organizations and all the shitty coaches. So he failed in Chicago. Well, is that a shocker? He failed in Jacksonville. Is that a shocker? He failed in other places that had other coaches who didn't know how to handle quarterbacks. Is that a shocker? No. In my opinion, the best coaching he ever had was in Philly. And he performed to that. Guy had a Pro Bowl season, all of that. JoJo goes, it was the money, Sills. Yeah, because the Eagles allowed him to go and be traded to the Jags instead of trading Wentz to the Jags. They should have traded Wentz. I'll say this, and I will die on the sword with this. If Alshon Jeffries catches that Foles pass in New Orleans, Wentz is dealt to the Jags. He's dealt. They would have dealt him because it would have been 2 consecutive NFC title games that he had put that team in and put on his back. I don't know about you, but I'm not getting off that. I don't give, hey, here's where the Patriots did this right. And the Eagles, because they drafted him so high, chose the wrong guy. Tone, think of this. So they have Drew Bledsoe on their team, do the Patriots, right? They signed him to a $117 million contract. They give him $14 million signing bonus. They draft this guy in the 6th round. And everybody is going like this. Can this guy really be who this guy is? Can this guy really be who this guy is? Can this guy, all of a sudden, Bledsoe gets hurt in that Jets game. And this guy all of a sudden turns out to start winning games. Belichick in that AFC title game put Bledsoe back in because Brady got hurt. Bledsoe wins the game. And Belichick's greatest move as an NFL head coach in New England, and this is the move that put him in the Hall of Fame. Instead of doing the Howie Roseman thing, going back with the 1st rounder, like the Eagles did, going to Wentz, he went with the 6th rounder. And he went with Brady. And the rest is history. You could have had potentially the Brady story in Philly, but you chose wrong. And how do you know? To me, you want to hear something crazy? Brady could have had the same career that Foles had. Foles shows you he had MVP type talent and all-pro type talent. 26 touchdowns, 2 picks. It wasn't just an anomaly, that one game or that one stretch run that he had in the playoffs. He showed you he had MVP caliber talent. But it was never developed in a place that had good coaching. Okay? Now we've got someone better, so it's all good. Do you? If Nick Foles is the quarterback of that football team that you just played Kansas City with, really? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. You're preaching, Sills. My dad says the same thing all the time. If Jeffries catches the pass, Wentz is shipped again. Right? Nick Foles in that Super Bowl versus Hurts. I don't know. I don't know. One game, that guy, he beat Brady. And it was an iconic game. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's all I'm saying. You could, okay, how about this? You could stick with Jalen. I might take Foles in that game. Okay, and again, I don't think it's a wrong take either way. But Nick Foles in a championship game? Are you really going to tell me here, Nick Foles in a playoff game or in a championship game, you wouldn't have felt comfortable and confident with him in that Super Bowl? I don't know. I can't believe. See, here you go again, revising history. That's a great take. I'm going to save that for the next one. And by the way, we haven't even gotten into our topics yet. Sean Desai, some questions I have for you about him. Then we also have 9 games on the schedule that I think are going to be very difficult. And we're going to go into those. Plus Rick Barry at 4:30. We'll talk about last night's Joker. Here's the 3 best players in the NBA. Joker, Embiid, and Giannis. I don't believe there's a debate anymore. Hour 2. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National